Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hello, welcome to TFYLP, episode 386 for June 22nd. Tonight, with me, I've got Nick.
Hello.
I've got Christian.
What's up?
And I've got Anna.
Good evening.
So I guess we have kind of the microcasters taking over the show here, and Nick.
That's Lucas, by the way. He never introduces himself.
Oh, and Lucas. Yeah. I don't ever introduce myself. I don't want to be.
You're not so famous that everyone knows who you are.
Yeah,
You should wear a name tag when you do the show, or every shirt you wear should just say Lucas or Lucas hat.
That'd be great. Or get it tattooed on your forehead backwards so you can see it in the camera.
Oh my god, I forget.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is perfect. We finally fixed this problem.
Problem solved.
So, yeah. Apparently some people forgot about the show, but then suddenly remembered when we started, so... Hello,
That's
Rodimus.
okay. I'm worried that Lucas is going to forget his name. That's way worse than forgetting the show.
Yeah, she's right. That's probably worse.
Apparently you sound possessed as well, so...
Me?
I think it was the whole, hello kind of thing you went to at the beginning.
I want to keep sounding possessed, so I'm going to keep working on that.
Could you do it while you sound like a robot later? Possessed robot?
I hope you're right.
I know I'm right. I'm usually right.
You know, undead mechanoid.
Just a Scooby-Doo episode about that.
So there we go. Well, so on last week's Microcasters, Tony brought up, he was asking us what would be some good older figures that still hold up for a modern collection. So if he wants to insert those into his collection. So he did not specify what type of collection that is. So whether or not that's a movie collection or if it's a masterpiece collection or if it's a generations collection. So we're probably going to try and cover a little bit of all of them. I'm sure we're probably going to skew towards generations just because I think in general, it seems like a lot of the masterpiece figures, a good chunk of them actually came out. So we were trying to set this to say, when we said older, we were going to try to focus on anything that was 2015 and before. And so, a lot of masterpiece did come out prior to, or during 2015. So I think all the way up to Ultra Magnus. So yeah, and most of those still hold up. I mean, I think that obviously we're going to go through and we may see something in a few years, once we see more of the newer masterpiece with the, greater articulation and all that. But right now, I think most people's stand-ins for, Soundwave and for the Datsuns and all that type of thing, Ultra Magnus are the masterpiece, so...
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to go for a one per character type collection like mine, you'd end up with quite a bit of masterpiece stuff if you really wanted the best version of every figure, right? Or a best version of every character, which is tricky because if you make a best version of every character display, it's going to be just a mess, right? There's going to be some Generations figures, there's going to be some Masterpiece figures, there's going to be some Legends, there's going to be everything. And, Lucas and I have talked multiple times that having things out of scale for him bothers him. He needs everything to scale right and display together. And I don't. I'm totally fine with, if I... right now, my prowl is MP prowl, but my My silver streak is the what are they called? Robot, the Revoltech type ones from a while back.
Mhm.
Not robot replicas, but
It doesn't
like
even
the
transform
kind
though, so it doesn't.
yeah,
count.
it doesn't even transform, but it is my version of him. And it's way smaller, right? So it doesn't scale with them at all. Like if you set them all together, they'd look bizarre. And that's fine by me. And even my like seekers are all different things. And that all works for me, but for a lot of people it doesn't. So I think we decided we would kind of focus on more of the generation stuff so we can tell a coherent story, which I don't do.
Yeah, I in preparation for tonight's episode, I went through and I started on a database of every character from 1984 to 1987, and I went through and picked out the best toy for each one of those that fits into the chug scale, which is mostly generations at this point. Classics, Henkei, United, generations, for those of you who like to argue about what that means.
Oh, universe and generations.
Huh?
I thought it was
Oh, it's
universe
universe.
too.
What did I say?
Yeah,
United.
Oh, yeah, universe, sure.
universe. Yeah.
Is it like
I've been doing a lot of
Trump or-
typing, and now I got my wires crossed. I apologize.
If you
Well,
put it all together, it's way too many letters.
Christian told me that I'm supposed to stop using the word chug, and
Oh, really?
that I should start using generations instead because it offends him. So
What about classics, where it all started, man?
No, I know.
Classics.
I do think it's kind of stupid to put Henkei in there because like how many Henkei figures would you even include at this point? There's not a
lot.
So
There are still a lot.
really, okay, well there we go. So
In fact, my very favorite is the Henkei Optimus Prime. I don't think there's been a better one since. The Earthrise is close. It's a good figure. But just the deco and just the way that Henkei Optimus transforms is... It might be my favorite and most perfect Transformers.
Which one's the Henkai Optimus for the...
He's got the chrome on the grill. The Cloud is a close runner-up because it's got the cartoon colors. It's the same mold, but it's like more cartoon color.
I did like the Cloud one.
Yeah.
But it's essentially that classics mold from 2006 or
right,
whatever.
I'm
so.
sorry.
Okay, that's what I was asking, was what mold is it?
I'm sorry, that was...
Mold, okay.
My
Oh,
mistake.
no, that's fine. I just didn't know, because I didn't buy the fancy stuff back then. I only bought the cheap stuff, being on the street.
The classics one was, is just, it's a great mold, and they've used it a million times with a million different decos. So if I got to pick a deco, the one for me is... That's all.
I once owned all of them at once.
Yes.
It was cool. It was super cool. That's a fun project to do.
Yes.
And it was like, all right.
How did you
I'm
get
done
rid
with
of them
now.
though? Was
I
it
bought
just
them.
something like you're like I'm done
Dick bought
and
them.
there you go.
I kept probably half of them, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was about completing the project, and I did it, and it was cool. And I was like, well, I have a whole bunch of Optimus in the same mold, so they can go. No big deal.
But
It
Yeah,
was cool.
and
It was a fun project.
I think that Henkei Megatron, the classics one, was also really good as well.
That was
so-
my Megatron for the longest, but at the minute, my Megatron is the Walmart Siege. I finally opened him up 2 days ago. I was like, oh,
You
okay, this
spoiling
is
our
the one
show
now.
for tomorrow.
Oh, you guys doing that one tomorrow?
But yeah, so
I think
tomorrow
so.
night, Microcasters is gonna do the Netflix Megatron. So
We're going to talk about how much we all hate it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I anticipate that it'll get replaced quickly by the Earthrise Megatron. We'll see.
You anticipate incorrectly.
Why?
Oh, really?
Wow.
Ugh.
I like the head.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Oh wow, there we go.
If you're
so.
nice tonight, maybe we'll invite you.
I don't know. After that Earthrise comment, I'm a little nervous.
Mm.
I'm not sure we should even do the show tonight. I think we just might need to have an intervention.
Aw. You guys really don't like the new Earthrise Megatron?
No,
No.
I think the face is great.
I think your face is great.
I know. Thank
See,
you.
I'm the
I
same
appreciate
way
it.
where it's like I don't know that I like the face, but I'm sure
Aw.
I will buy it and I will open it up and then I will probably like it. So
Yeah.
you know.
At least it doesn't have a cartoon accurate face in the new Netflix series. Right? Like, it's good not to have that. In case anyone needs a reminder, I keep this near me so I can't sleep at night.
Aw, come on, he's great.
That looks awesome.
Says hello.
So do they have him on the Netflix box looking down with his face kind of smushed down so that it's accurate to the toy? Because that Megatron toy has issues where it just likes to, or the Siege one, the head likes to dip down. So
there's no latch to keep it in place. It just sort of, it's leedle,
That's
I
funny.
think we've
'cause it's-
strayed very far from our topic.
no,
we're still talking about the
We're
best
talking about
Optimus,
a
the best
brand new
Megatron.
figure.
Okay.
We need to
All
talk
right.
about 2015 or earlier things that
right.
still hold water.
Okay.
I know. I'm the stick in the mud.
Yeah.
Well, then let's go for it. Like, what are our criteria? Like, what does it mean still? What did you say? Hold water? What does that even mean?
No,
like,
still holds up, not holds water, holds up.
I said water. So, yeah. Get off
Okay.
my back.
is it like a boat?
Yeah.
So
Wait,
I think it's just something
water.
where each of us kind of we can go around, select a figure. It could be anything. Like, what is your representation of various characters? We can just
This is like
Talk
ouch
about
my past.
yes, that kind of yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go first, and one of
First
the ones
up.
I just
Just
want
way to take charge there.
Oh, geez. Well, whatever. Anyway, one figure I was gonna bring up. One of my favorite combiners is this Make Toys Giant, and what's kind of ironic about it is he doesn't really hold up for a Generation shelf anymore, but he does now for a Legend shelf. And so, if you're now into Iron Factory and Legends collecting and things like that, all of a sudden this guy was kind of too small for Generations. Now, technically, he is roughly the same size as the Combiner Wars combiners, and so I guess if you want to put him with that, he holds up in that case too. Which I know he's not Christian's favorite Devastator, but. The reason that I also want to highlight this one is this one of the few combiners that is as old as he is, but his joints and everything are still good. Most of the older TFC combiners, like, just kind of their joints have not held up over time, but this one has. And so this is my pick to throw in some third party.
I'll throw in some third party. Don't worry.
So, yeah, apparently everyone's like, yay, no one else cares. Okay.
No, I mean, like, I've never handled that.
I don't know. I mean, my
It's one of those
Devastator
older
is still
third
my
party figures I never
Warrior.
got to. Yeah.
Mine is
Didn't
Cool
we-
Become Brave, so I'm good there.
There
Mine
you
is
go.
Combined Wars. Combined with
Alright.
Extra Wars.
All right, Nick, do you want to bring up one?
Yeah, the deluxe Insecticons are all still G1 because they haven't been updated except for Chop Shop. So, like, that needs to get fixed. Has there been a third-party company to do any
Yeah.
deluxe Insecticons that don't suck?
Oh, well, that's...
Well, I mean, it's
I don't think that's a different topic.
Um,
These project ones are good.
Fans Project, Planet X have both done deluxe-sized
No, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about Chop Shop, Barrage, Venom, and Ram.
Oh, the deluxe ones. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
So the
the
deluxe
second
ones,
one.
Fans Project did them, and
Yeah.
except for Venom. Yeah.
No.
Except for
Yeah, they're
Venom.
good.
Huh.
Yeah.
They're good?
I think they're good. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I like
They're
them. They're in my
alright.
collection.
I haven't messed with them, so I have, like, no experience with it. I don't
I
know.
sold you them.
Yeah, and I, took pictures and sold them. I did not.
Oh, all right. Our
Done.
good friend Jeremy made me a Venom to go with them back in the day, and I still have that.
Yeah? That's
He
cool.
made it out of a Generations Waspinator.
That's
It's super cool. I love it very much.
Yeah. So, like, if you're talking about putting older figures in a modern collection, and you're only doing official like me, it's kind of your only options.
You know, I just recently acquired, I had never had any of the original deluxe Insecticons. I just recently acquired some in my, like, random box I've been talking about on Ouch Off and On. And honestly, I'm really impressed by them because I never had them as a kid. I never saw them. I never messed with them. And they actually, largely wouldn't look horrific in a modern collection. Like, they're not going to be able to pose like other stuff is.
No.
But they, they're probably not going to look any more out of place in a modern collection than they do in a G1 collection, because they look so much better than the other stuff in the G1 collection, and a little bit worse than the modern stuff. So I was impressed by them. They're pretty cool.
And they were fun transformations. I thought they were mostly pretty neat, So that's what I got.
All right, Anna, what do you think?
Oh, goodness. I've got this large pile of things beside me that I have picked out for this special occasion that we are currently having. I will start with something that... I'll start with the one that came to mind first, because this is, I really think your first association to something that means something. So, my first thought was, I just don't know why I would ever replace this Warpath. So, I have the old generation's Warpath that, gosh, how long ago did this thing come out at this point? Like, it's probably 10 years old?
Right?
9 years.
Yeah.
9 years?
I think it's 2011.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a pretty old figure. And
but they haven't made a better one since.
But I don't think that's, as much of an insult as it sounds like, right? Like, it's like, oh, they haven't made a better one. But, I mean, do they really need to? It looks so cool. Like, it is just it's a nice looking thing. It's not accurate. It doesn't really look like his cartoon version, and it doesn't look like a guy who would say bam, zow, whatever silly words he says.
It's written on the side, right?
I think so. Yeah, he's got zow on his leg.
I love it. Love it.
And kapow on the other leg. So yeah, he's not... He does have the goofy phrases on him, but he doesn't look like a guy who would say those kind of things. He looks like a more scary mech. He always reminds me of... This is a really random reference for those of you who don't play RPGs or anime mecha stuff, but he reminds me of something from the game Xenogears from ages ago. He looks like a gear from that to me, because he's just got that threatening robot destructive thing look to him, which again doesn't fit Warpath, but it's a toy that I don't want to replace. So even though I might get one of the other Warpaths that's out there someday, I would never replace this, so why even bother? So I plan to keep it in my collection because it's really that cool. And it's funny because a lot of the things that I complain about and nag about, like wrist rotation and ankles and blah, 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 he doesn't have it. His waist doesn't swivel, his wrist doesn't swivel, he doesn't have ankles of any sort. He's just cool looking. He's just a damn good figure. Looks. Yeah.
The ankles, there is actually ankle tilt, just not rocker, right? The ankles move, or whatever, the feet. I mean, they'll move up
forward,
and down.
Like that.
Yeah.
You can still get some cool poses with that.
You can get a little bit.
I don't know. I love that toy, and I will apologize for it all day long.
No, that is one of the best ones. And I think I brought that too. Is some of the ones we'll be going through are some of the best. So people a lot of times would complain and say, oh, Chug prior to Siege would say oh, Chug now isn't as good as what it used to be. But if you're picking out and cherry picking Warpaths and whatnot, but there was still plenty of stinkers back then. It's just we just always remember the ones that are really good.
And this is one of those.
I am very excited to be replacing my Sunstreaker with the Earthrise Sunstreaker, let me tell you.
I like that old Sunstreaker, but it's nothing
Which
like
Sunstreaker are is your old one?
The Universe one.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't like that one as much.
He's got foolishly hollow legs, but otherwise he's kind of cool.
Yeah, I actually have the Unite Warriors as mine right now, but...
Mm-hmm.
So, Christian...
I can't believe someone just insulted the Universe Lambo mold. It has 2 robot modes, Nick.
Dude, it was fine for the time, but it doesn't hold up. It's not as good.
It's awesome.
Not. It's okay.
Alright, I'm gonna get my easy ones out of the way first.
Okay.
I'll do 3 quick ones all at once because everyone's gonna agree with me real fast. Alright. Generations. Metroplex, Sandstorm, and Springer.
Oh, well, that was going to be one of my...
All those guys still hold up.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Sandstorm, this mold is really good, and I picked Sandstorm just because I know that we've gotten a newer Springer, but this is actually I like. I like this one actually better than the Springer.
Yeah,
I kind of like Sandstorm
Absolutely.
just because I don't know. Like I just like this mold a little bit better.
The VTOL fans are dope.
Yeah.
I think it's also easier for people who aren't like looking for the comic look to kind of give in to making him look different because he's such a like less iconic character than Sprainer. Like for me, Sprainer had to eventually look like G1. Like I had that Generations mold forever, and it was okay.
See, now I feel the opposite. I absolutely love that Generation Springer because he's my IDW Springer.
Right, which I didn't read, so.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Earthrise is
Right,
good,
but like
but
Generations, I feel like the comic
Incorrect.
Springer is more
It's a terrible,
iconic.
terrible Springer. It doesn't look good. The colors are wrong. It transforms stupidly. I hate that figure.
Ouch.
Wow.
You've
You've really grown to hate it even more than when we
Harsh,
actually
Springer.
reviewed it originally, Christian. Because I don't
I
remember
think
you
I
hating
probably
it that
hate
much.
it more than then. I hated it then. I hate it more now because it's still in my house. It needs to leave my house.
You know they're not sentient, right? They can't leave unless you help them.
Oh my.
Yeah. Just the Generation Springer is a million times better than the Siege one. Sorry. Sandstorm, also very super excellent. Love it.
Yeah.
And, Metroplex, he was the first Titan. There's not been another Metroplex, and he's dope.
I'm going to specifically say the San Diego one over the mass release, just for the chrome and the extra gun.
Or the
I don't have that. I did get an extra gun, but
or the Takara one.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever.
But that's
Sure.
it's funny because that's probably one of the most expensive, like, if you're not counting BotCon stuff and all that, like, one of the most expensive mainline releases at Metroplex, it's, like, gone up probably, doubled in value over the years just because they haven't, really re-released it. And so he's kind of like everybody's Metroplex still. Like, there is no, like, masterpiece Metroplex, so you kind of have to everyone kind of had to have that as their Metroplex. So
It's either that or Utopia, and I've never handled Utopia or Dystopia, but I've heard that they're kind of complex. They look pretty complex, and Metroplex is just big, chunky goodness.
Utopia is a really good figure. The problem is he's smaller, and so if you're like one of these scale nuts, then like why would you want? It's kind of like
the giant city guys will never be in scale. It doesn't matter.
But they look pretty good with Legends displays.
Right.
Like, I really like Metroplex for a Legends display because he's still too big. He's still too small. Like honestly, but he's much closer, and like having them climb on him is just this like cool effect of like these little bug men can climb all over him. They're just so minor. It's cool.
Yeah, Jay Zachary in the chat was talking about Mania King for Galvatron, and I actually think that might be the best pick for a Generations Chug style one. I have Titan's Return with like the upgrade kit head on it or whatever, but Mania King's really good as well.
I'm a big Cannon guy, but I did like Mania King for the time.
Mania Cannon's cool.
Yeah, I also went the Titans Return route with like $50 in upgrades. I'm really hoping that there's some new thing on the horizon that just hasn't quite been.
Just keep believing.
Yeah.
He's on the box.
I love
saw
that we
Cyclops.
have
It's
like
happening.
a figure with like $50 of upgrades on it, and we're still hoping for a better one like that. I'm in the same boat as you.
Can't do third party, it's too high, but I'm gonna take this crap figure and spend $50 to make it so crap.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's true.
I'm
But
not
it
a
doesn't
smart
happen
man.
always. It's not like every time. It's not like every figure.
Yeah.
You blow $50 to make it look better, right?
It's only the one. It's the only one where I spent that kind of money. Because you got to have a good Galvatron. You got it.
Right.
So
That's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, that's the
universe.
that.
I mean,
Oh
you
god,
go back
that
and get a
universe was
Cybertron
so
Galvatron,
horrible.
I guess.
Energon.
Even yes, I'm sorry, Energon Galvatron. Yes, because even that's a better Galvatron than anything since.
It's true.
Yeah.
That it's funny they were there was this leak about the 86 movie series, right? And we don't know if it's true or not. They haven't released anything, right? But the one thing that we're really hoping is can you get a better Galvatron? Can we get a better, Rodimus Hot Rod? Can we get a better Grimlock? As well, because it's like that's what some of those characters that are iconic big characters that I realize that a lot of people don't want the G1 movie to be included with that, but I think at least with that, if we can get some definitive versions in Generations of some of those big characters, I'll be happy.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
So, all right, well, I guess I'll go ahead and in one of the older figures that I actually still like, my favorite Jazz, which this is actually the Takara version of it, I believe. Yeah.
He's actually my Jazz, too.
Yeah, mine too. You can't top that one. At least they haven't yet.
Yeah. So, again, it doesn't have the ankle rocker or whatnot. It pretty much has everything else, though, I think.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is a really good figure, and it's pretty much the cartoon version as well. So this is, I could definitely see this staying in my collection for a while. So
yeah.
I've had him for a while too. I got him like real late though. I got him way after he came out. Just a friend was coming to visit me. It was like, I heard you didn't have this figure, so I had a spare and I had to bring it to you. He just handed it to me, and he was like, "This is better than any Jazz you have." And he was right. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for Generations, there's actually Generation Toy has a version, like a souped up version of this, that if you can get your hands on it, is a really good figure as well. But it's essentially a more complex version of this.
I honestly enjoy that toy more than I do the who made the one that everybody buys, Masterpiece Lucas. My brain is
the Make Toys.
Yeah, the Make Toys. I actually like it more than the Make Toys mode because I had the Make Toys mold for Stepper, and I just like it's fine looking, but it's no fun to play with at all. And that is fun to play with. That's a fun toy. Let's take it off my shelf and make it.
So I think it's funny in the chat they're talking about buying all these upgrade kits to essentially turn your Generations figure into a masterpiece. And that's like one of those things where like Anna and Christian and I have this debate all the time where I'm like, hey, look, Anna, like we could get the new grapple kit or whatever and spend an extra $30 on the grapple so that I can get all the fillers and all that kind of thing for him too. Or the Earthrise Optimus, like there's a really great kit that Nanef is doing that has a roller and it has a bunch of stuff like that is gonna like make the cab look the trailer look quite a lot better. And so
see, now those are the kind of upgrade kits that I really like. The things that like turn a figure into a different character, or they add a bunch of weapons and bits that they don't normally have. Like I don't care much for like the gap fillers. I did the Galvatron stuff because I had to, not because I really wanted to go out and spend that money.
The head was so bad on that Titans Return Galvatron. I mean, it's
so bad.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do think that if they had released that figure now, whatever kit that came out would probably be a little bit cheaper than what that kit was. But
yeah,
would it still take 3 years to get made?
Hey, he had some stuff going on. You have to cut the guy some slack. He was working hard.
So, yeah. Anyway, all right, Nick, what you got?
Who's next? Nick?
All right, what do I got? Let's go back to the database and see what else jumps out at me here. I'm just cheating on all the cassettes. I'm using all the Masterpiece guys for the most part because they're still mostly in scale.
Do Do you want to talk about that? I mean, that whole group is prior to 2015.
Are they?
Yep, they are. Yeah. Soundwave is.
Oh, hey, look at that. I didn't check the dates on the masterpiece because I assumed they were all more recent.
Not
what
the
even
lion,
is time
right?
anyway?
Well, not the lion, but the rest.
Not the
of them.
lion. I think he's the
Except
only one
Night
that's
Stalker,
made.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm still using all of my masterpiece cassettes. I mean, in my theoretical shelves because, hashtag bin life. I'm still, in my head shelves, I'm using the masterpiece cassettes as my Generations guys. Although there was a couple of neat alternatives that are also older than 5 years ago. Like Laserbeak had a, was it GDO? Had that Scout class figure.
That's a deep cut.
That's a good stand-in for a Laserbeak if you don't have one. And there's a secret fan mode where he turns into a bird. Or like a cassette-looking thing than just the robot mode. So I have pictures of that somewhere I could share. Also, the Frenzy and the Rumble, there's the tanks from... was it United? United at that point.
Yeah. Prime did it too.
Right.
They re-released in there.
Yeah.
Or Adventure.
Adventure, right,
Yeah.
Sure.
I still think that Soundwave, the masterpiece release at Toys R Us, was like one of the greatest values when it originally released.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember how much... What was the original price point? Like, is it $120 or $150?
$100.
Was it $100? Yeah,
That can't be right.
$100.
No, I gotta check that out, Max.
Are you sure? With all the tapes and stuff?
Can't be right.
I think so.
It was $100.
No way,
I had zero
Jose.
regrets when I bought it.
My name is Christian.
Yeah. I mean,
it was $120. It was $120.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it was $120.
Dang.
But nevertheless, so I mean, can you imagine
MT10 was
today?
100 though.
No, MT10 wasn't 100.
MT10 was 100.
MT10 was 100.
He was.
The first
Are you
release
sure?
of MT10 was 100. Yeah.
So,
then
ironically
I think
enough,
the
when
most
Takara
on an
released
American
them,
shelf is 150, right?
the
was
Takara
it?
release of
50
MP10 was 25,000 yen, like back in the day.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I went
it's
and looked
way
it up.
more.
Yeah,
There
like,
was such a huge gap between our prices back then. No more.
crazy. Yeah.
In the chat, I want everyone to guess how much I paid for my MP10 in 2013, the summer of 13. There were no reissues yet, but it wasn't still on shelves. I got the Hasbro version. In the chat, tell me how much you think I paid for it. It wasn't good.
Oof.
Yeah, I also still...
I'll get in on this.
MP Soundwave and cassettes, because
right.
they're fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, can
Although,
you just imagine
streaming behind
nowadays, like, a masterpiece car is $120. Like, if you go to Big Bad Toy Store, the new Bumblebee, right, is $120, like, US. I mean, obviously it was cheaper in Japan, but it's like that Soundwave with all those tapes. I mean, that was just such a great figure. So, all right, they're saying $50 or 85 or 300.
Who said 300?
Me.
You're closest. I paid $250.
Hachi machi.
Yeah, it was bad. And then it got reissued like that winter. They hadn't announced it yet.
Yeah.
And I still
At
have
least
it
it's a really
because
good figure. I mean, you could argue that is the definitive Prime
It's a good
too.
figure.
I know a lot of people like the new one, but
Although I think
I
you
wish
made fun
they
of me
would
for
do
liking it the other day and told me it was like gorilla proportions.
no, I did not say
I
that.
can confirm that.
Okay,
Lucas did say that. He's
What?
denying it. I'm confirming it.
no, I did say that. I said that it had gorilla arm. That a lot of people have that complaint. My point is that you were like getting on the new Earthrise Optimus and saying that had weird proportions, which I don't agree with.
There's a difference though. Like gorilla proportions are an animal, but like stupid proportions are stupid.
But he's accurate to
What?
the show.
All right, listen.
He's
Both of you
not
are wrong.
accurate to the
Both
show.
of those toys are very proportionate and look fantastic. You're both wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's argue the next time an Optimus toy comes out. Or actually...
so like a month from now or something?
Yeah, it's right. Like 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes.
It's your turn. Who is holding up for you?
I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to pull out something that everyone's going to disagree with me on. And it'll be fun. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the night, because it's going to be all third parties. You guys are all going with us to mainline stuff. And so we're going with the fun stuff. So let's talk about eye gear.
Oh, that's cool. Look at him.
I have an eye gear Outback here. And he is like the only Outback I own. And I think the only Outback I've ever owned.
If you want to talk about non-accurate toys, like show
Why
me,
is he like a bright
show,
white?
show me in the cartoon where Outback was white.
This is what he looked like. This is what he looked like in my dreams. Your journey adventures with Outback in the Outback.
Well, it is a good toy. I do enjoy it.
It is. I will say I like the mold. I like that for Braun, but and I would like that for Outback if it was accurate, if the colors were accurate. But at that point, third party was actually worried about Hasbro, and so they didn't actually release it in the right colors intentionally. Was the reason.
So I here made a whole set of these mini bots, right? A whole set of these mini cars. And, like, me saying that this one holds up, and, like, I think it's the best Outback. And I have the Braun, too, which is contrary to my beliefs of one per character. But, you know, whatever. And I really like this one, but there's really nothing else from that eye gear line that I feel like has held up this well. Because this, like, I know the colors are wrong, but this is an upgraded, fancy-style version of the original toy. You know, this is what was shown on the package of the original toy, aside from the, like, grippy claws. But this is, like, what they were kind of going for. And I feel like it's just really cool they made this kind of, like, update for him that actually took that design and that idea. It didn't turn him into the cartoon model, but instead it just made this, like, kind of weird toy upgrade version. I think it's cool.
So what was weird about the Iger ones is the original ones they released were a lot smaller. So, like, if you got the... what are the other mini-bots they originally did?
There was a Cosmos, there's a Sea Spray and a Huffer.
Is tiny.
Yeah.
Their Sea Spray is tiny. Their Huffer is tiny.
Yeah.
Their Cosmos is pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's big.
I like him.
He's a nice solid chunk. You can use him as a frisbee to...
I like the dome on him.
He's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean... one, like, I kind of consider keeping him thus.
Yeah, the Iger ones are kind of fun for their time. They weren't bad.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, the transformation isn't perfect on this guy. Like, it's a little fiddly. It's a little difficult to get to go. You know, the articulation and his data. It's super dated. No wrinkles, no waste. This is a theme with me, is the stuff I want to hate on to. It doesn't have the right articulation, but it just looks neat. Like, he's a nice-looking little guy. And like I said, there aren't many things that kind of upgrade the old toys in a way that makes them fun. But another thing that impacts my enjoyment of this figure and a lot of these older third-party toys, and I'm going to keep bringing up, is that I'm sure somebody paid a lot for this toy back in the day. And I think my version maybe cost me all of like $7. So that kind of gives me a different opinion on it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of those figures too, like between that and Fans Project, that if you bought that at the original price, you're probably not as happy. But if you're one of the people that just, you know, bought it after the fact, like when they went on clearance or like secondhand or whatever, then yeah, it's a lot nicer figure then. So.
Mine's like fifth hand.
But
yep, that's my thoughts on that.
I think Nick,
I like
who was it that designed those figures too? The same one that did the Mayhem Mechanics. What's his name?
Oh, do you mean it wasn't Nick C? Is it? It wasn't Sid. It was.
No, it wasn't Sid. It was the yeah. Gosh, what's what does he go? I can't remember his.
Oh, Cassie Sark.
Thank you, Cassie Sark. That was
Right.
because he did a lot of the designs for the figures back in the day, and that was one of
Yeah.
them. So I think he did several of the iGear figures as well, or iGear and what's the other company that went under that had those little mini bots?
Impossible Boys.
Impossible Toys. Thank you. I think he did some of those too.
Impossible Toys was a zine from Render Form.
Oh, what? Yeah, but I thought Cassie
there
did
another
some of
one?
the ones. I thought Cassie did some of the designs. Maybe not all of them. But I don't know. I know he did that iGear Braun Outback one, though, so. But anyway.
That's cool. I like it.
I was going to say, another one I think that holds up that he did was the MMC
Hexatron.
Hexatron. So
Hexatron.
I think Hexatron. I don't know. I mean, there's some masterpiece versions of this character now, but like Hexatron, I feel like this is like the definitive classic like third party toy from back in the day, and I mean I think it still like holds up. Like there's still a pretty fair amount of articulation in them and all that. So if you've never owned Hexatron, I would actually recommend picking it up for a Generations collection.
I have had that toy in my hands probably a dozen times, and I don't think I've ever transformed it.
Yeah.
It's actually easy. Like, it's a simple toy. It looks all complicated and scary because it's got these like nice details on it, but it's fine.
I mean, by the same token, I still haven't transformed my Titans. Was it Titans Return? Yeah.
Dude,
I still haven't transformed that one either.
Fun.
Is it? I keep looking at him, and then
it's super easy to do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is reasonable. I
I
really like this toy though. I'm surprised to hear it on your list, Lucas. I figured you'd be like, "Oh, the Titans Return one is so much better," but this is super cool.
No, this one's better. I mean, I like the Titans Return
Definitely
one.
my sixth shot.
I like the Titans Return version better as like the toy. Like it more accurately represents the G1 toy, but I think this one's just cooler.
Yeah, it is a great design. It's real solid.
And you can get it really cheap because there's been a few different versions of it.
Yeah.
So like mine is the version, like I think mine's like the first version of it before it had like the more fancy like chrome paint on it in places. And this thing, like if you find it, I think mine was like $40 maybe. And you're getting a lot of toy for $40 if you get one of these. It's cool.
Seeing him again kind of makes me want to get him back. I sold mine to Nick several years ago.
You did.
So yeah, if you want, I can sell you mine on the show. Here you go. What do you want for him?
Talk about him.
Hey, you just said it was one of your favorite old toys.
Sure. Doesn't mean he's not for sale. Everything's for sale. Everything has its price, Anna.
Wow, this is scary.
He's the $1 million Lucas over here. Lucas DiBiase. And only the wrestling nerds get that one. That's okay.
All right, Christian, what you got?
I want to talk about some movie stuff that I think is not necessarily instrumental, but a good idea to add to a modern movie collection. I think we need to look back to the Revenge of the Fallen line. There's a lot of gems in there, but I want to highlight, I think, 3 in particular. The first, of course, is the Optimus. Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime is probably the definitive movie Optimus. MPM didn't match it. Studio Series is very good, but it's in a smaller scale, and it's less complicated, there's less paint. But the Revenge of the Fallen one is like the most complex toy that you'll ever have, so disclaimer there. But it also looks great in both modes.
Super complex.
Yeah, the complexity kills that toy for me.
It was like my whole Christmas the year I got it.
It hinders it greatly, but I don't think there's a better one you can
I mean,
get.
it's not as bad as Sentinel Prime or Jetfire, but it's close.
The Jetfire was the rest of my Christmas that year.
Jetfire was infinitely worse. I'm glad I don't have that anymore. But the other 2 I wanted to talk about were Decepticons that weren't actually in the films. If you can find one with non-degrading treads, get a bludgeon. because that bludgeon is still awesome.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, the rubber is breaking down.
Ah, that's not good. I didn't know that.
It also melts the ABS that's attached to the rubber.
Great.
So, good times.
So
Also,
check your bin,
grab yourself a
Nick.
mind wipe. Grab yourself a mind wipe or a strafe. Pick one.
Yeah.
Or if you're like feeling really saucy, go get the Tokyo Toy Show Dreadwing. That's a good one.
Yup.
That mold is really great. It's a spirit it's a Nighthawk like stealth fighter, and it combines with Skystalker and bot and vehicle mode. It's just cool. It's a cool toy. Played about 2 weeks ago. It's just anything that's coming out. Go get yourself a mind wipe.
Yeah, it's a good figure. I do like it.
Sure.
I mean, it's not my chug mind wipe anymore, but it was for a long time.
Why?
Because I like the headmaster function.
Like, why was that one ever your chug mind wipe?
Because there was no other one.
You're not. It's not related. It's a totally
Sure it is.
different dude.
That bludgeon is still my bludgeon.
That's much closer.
Much closer.
Mind wipe's a totally different guy.
Any toy that was too good for Revenge of the Fallen or like a movie toy in general got put with the chug stuff.
Got transferred.
My brain
They
wasn't
were too
working.
good
Did
to
you?
be in that line.
Fine. Also, go ahead and transfer the lockdown from Revenge of the Fallen because that toy is fantastic.
Because why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Did you say
Oh,
the
it's so
bludgeon,
good.
Christian? Was that the tank you said?
Did I say the what?
The bludgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah? Wow. Because I was just looking at that earlier today, and I was like, does that keep up? And I was like, no, I never want to look at it again. I can put a cover on it.
I love that figure.
I know, I used to too. But every time I look down at it now, it's on like my lowest floor shelf of sadness.
Aw.
Oh no!
I don't know if you guys remember the company Head Robots, but they made an upgrade kit for him to make it more of a G1-y kind of head. And I had that on it for several years, and I just hated how it looked. So I returned it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a crazy person, but that figure's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I hope yours just hasn't melted.
I'm looking down at it. I'm okay with else.
You're gonna make me go dig in my bins, aren't you?
Wow.
I'm not making you do anything.
God. Entropy claims us all in the end, right? There's no fighting it.
Word to the wise. Look, I'm just saying, if you're out there trying to get a movie collection these days, it's something to look out for.
So, but it's worse if it's in the bins, right? It degrades more if it's in the bins. So Nick should definitely check.
What kind of story are you making up now?
Oh man. So, all right. Well, are there any other movie figures that you want to reference, or you're kind of the movie guy?
Sure. If you want me to keep going on that, I would say Human Alliance B and Jazz, and Skids probably. Mudflap I've never handled, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume
Who knows?
it's pretty good. Sideswipe, no, but the vehicle mode is fantastic.
Yeah.
I would actually say the original ROTF Sideswipe is far better than the Studio Series one. Go ahead and grab that one. If Studio Series, and the rumor is true, if that rumor is true that they're coming out with a Sideswipe with a roof, I might change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the paint. But that original figure is great. Also, if you want it in red, get Swerve. Who else can I get? Dark of the Moon, Dark Steel. If you want a quick strike on that,
yeah.
Corvette. Never been anywhere else. Go grab that.
That's good.
Brawn and Outback from Revenge of the Fallen and Reveal the Shield.
Yeah.
Great figures.
They didn't suck.
You could get Landmine, Armorhide, or Commodore. If you get Armorhide, it has my initials on it. That would. If you could think of me every time you look at that figure. It does. It says CMR.
Really weird.
It's very weird, but I'll never get rid of it because it's got me. Also, take a look at Stratosphere because he comes with it. He's great on his big old big C-130 transport plane, and he comes with tiny baby Optimus that he can hold like a teddy bear. That's a cool novelty. You know he does.
I actually don't, because I missed that one. That's like one of the few movie figures I don't own.
Stratosphere.
Yeah, well, now it's $1 million, so I'll just have to wait.
Is
I
it
guess.
Really?
Yeah,
So
it's stupid expensive.
Are you hoping that they do Studio Series versions of some of those figures, or are you're good with what you got?
I would hope that, but I don't think they ever will. I think the best chances we have for Studio Series, anybody that wasn't actually in the film, is probably like Warpath from the video game, and that's super iffy because that model in Dark of the Moon video game was incredible. You know, that's an incredible Warpath look. It's just awesome. But I really don't think we'll see anybody from outside the films.
Now here's a question: will they do a Studio Series evac?
They're doing Studio Series Grindor, so
Maybe.
it's possible.
No, I mean the ride.
Oh, the ride.
Right.
Maybe.
Because he's about due for an update.
I don't know why you would need to though. That original toy is very good.
Yeah, sure, but everybody else got an updated figure. Might be
You're
time
right.
to just refresh it. I don't know.
Can I rewind us?
for some reason?
What's
Can
up?
I rewind us a little bit?
What's up?
This is something that Christian said before. Human Alliance toys were super cool. Like, I'm super sad that concept was only done the one time with those few figures. I mean, I know there was the whole, like, subline of the non-movie characters with the smaller figures. And, you know, we got quite a few Human Alliance figures, and most of them are really fantastic, except for Sideswipe. But it would be really cool to have that done again. Like, I would really be thrilled if they did something Human Alliance like. They used, like, the little Diaclone pilot molds and made those, like, you know, kind of Transformers looking somehow. Made them into, like, colored them to look like some of the characters or something. And did another thing where they could, like, fit into the vehicles or something like that. That would be so cool to do that again. Like, whether you like them or not, the human characters are usually important. And having a way for them to play with the figures is a way to make them actually relevant. So I thought that was so cool.
I do miss Human Alliance, and I missed Alternators before that. It was great that we continue to get that 1/24th-ish with Human Alliance scale of really licensed replica vehicles. I think that was great. I do miss that now.
Yeah, Masterpiece kind of killed that. That whole thing, and I don't think that they could ever do that same line again, just because it just costs too much money. I think. I don't know, maybe not, but
Masterpiece was really great at taking over for it for a while, and now it's horrible at it. So, you know.
Yeah, that is true. So another character that I have that is an oldie is the Roadbuster. Now, there's actually been a fair amount of good Roadbusters, so I don't necessarily know that this is the best one. However, it is a really good Generations figure, and one thing, Anna, it does have like some ankle like movement, like you can, you know, kind of move the ankle. There's a little bit like do the transformation and all that. There is actually ankle tilt and rocker. It doesn't have waist swivel, but for the most part, I guess it does have.
He's got a million guns,
but he has a million guns. It's a really fun figure. It's probably like if you're looking to go official, like I think he really holds up, especially for a figure that old. So yeah, that's my pick for another one. Although I wouldn't mind if they gave us a new one.
Thing is, with that guy though, there was that fantastic fans project one that I actually got off you. It's similar in looks, but it's smaller, and it has so much posability. It is such a good toy, and its like value has fallen so much that I just like personally, since I don't care about scale, that has to be my Roadbuster because it's just super cool. The way it plays and the way it poses, and it has good accessories still. But I can totally see the appeal of that one too because the look is very similar.
Yeah, and the MMC one is pretty good too. I don't know which one's cheaper between this one or Fans Project. Like, I think the Fans Project one you can still get on clearance at BBTS for like $40, and that's like that's the whatchamacallit. Now, the only thing that's kind of a bummer with that is that they actually did 2 other versions of that mold. That's like a couple other guys, and so if you actually want the Fans Project one like completely armored up, you have to like find these hard to find other figures.
True.
So there were like repaints of them.
But if you don't need those, if you're not a completionist, then it's perfectly fine. I love mine. But that's a good alternative.
So, but yeah, no, it's still a fun figure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nick, what you got?
I talked a little bit about the cassettes before, but Blaster and Soundwave. For my Soundwave, I'm still using Music Label, and for my Blaster, I'm still using Device Label. I didn't care for the Titans. Was it Titans Return to Power of the Primes? I forget where they fell in the line there, but they were way too big. They were too tall, and I didn't like them. And the Siege Soundwave is bad. Honestly, it was a hard call between the Siege Soundwave and the Device Label, but I like the clean, classic look, the simplicity of line that you find in the Music Label version of Soundwave.
I've always wanted that, actually. It looks super cool.
It is super rad. I got all 3 of them. I got the white, the blue, and the black, and they are phenomenal. I love those figures. So, and as for the Device Label Blaster, I mean, he's a laptop, but he still works with the cassettes, I think. I wish there was a better, more in-scale Blaster. So if that happens, I'll gladly replace him. But for the minute, that's still my Blaster.
It's a USB hub, right?
Yeah, right. Yes.
That looks like a laptop.
Right.
We need a new Blaster. I'm kind of surprised, and I'm hoping again that this 86 line that we can get another one, because I didn't mind the leader Blaster. He was okay, the Titans Return one, but I'd like to get one that actually scales well, and I think that we should be getting a new Soundwave as well, like according to whatever leaks that some dude from a factory in Asia or something like that, whatever, like was showing off that there is another Soundwave coming too. So
that thing did not look impressive, though. I hope that was all just a nightmare.
Like, it's pretty much the Siege one. It just turns into a tape deck instead of...
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with the Siege one?
I want a new figure. I don't want the same thing with just some slight changes. Similar to the
I was really
Megatron.
hoping for Van Wave.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of Van Waves, though, in other lines.
That many.
But never in Earth mode.
I like the MP3 player. I don't need a van.
But that was good.
Like animated is a van. Animated could be a van. I don't need my Chug Soundwave to be a van.
Animated's a hatchback. It's not a van.
Whatever.
Look, man. I looked at buying a Scion so I could turn it into a sound animated. Yeah. Fun fact, do you know who buys those Scion XPs? Old people, because they have low ground clearance, so they're closer to the ground.
Aw.
Yeah.
Surprisingly wholesome fun fact. That's what you guys keep me here for, right?
So, all right, Anna, what else you have?
Alright, well, I've only got like a couple other things because as time flows, my things just leave. But I'm going to bring up another whole group of figures that I have argued with the other 2 microcasters about before, and those are the Fans Project Headmasters. And
you held up like the worst one of them.
The worst one? Okay, let me ask you a question here. Does this guy actually have any good figures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
Titans.
The Titans Return one is arguably better than that one.
Mm-mm.
Well, according to you, but
I think it's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say that most of the Fans Project Headmasters are probably better than the Titans Return one, but that's the exception. That one is not good. And like the head, most of the other ones, the heads are the same size, right? Like that one, they actually made a larger head. So people just crushed that one when it came out. They they were so mad when it finally came out because it was like I think the last Headmaster that Fans Project put out, and people were very upset with that one. Yep, there you go. Like Zaldra in the chat is saying that he made them stop getting Fans Project figures. So there you go.
It's highbrow, by the way. We haven't said the name yet. It's
sorry.
Highbrow.
Or Browning, or
if you're gonna bring up Fans Project Headmasters, you have to bring up the best one, which is their Brainstorm.
Downstairs.
What's that? Oh, okay. So Smart Robin / Brainstorm is by far the best figure, and I would still say that this is probably the best Brainstorm overall.
Strong disagree.
Really, you don't like this figure?
That one is
Generations
so
is really good too.
Yeah, I was going to say that it was 2014, was it? The Generations? That's my Brainstorm, because it's my IDW
13,
Brainstorm.
14,
yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I think that is the best. Okay, so I think the Fans Project one is the best toy that is supposed to be a likeness of Brainstorm. It doesn't look the most like the G1 version. It doesn't look the most like the IDW version. It's just kind of the best toy. And since I care more about just like the quality of the toy and the quality of the sculpt and all that stuff, like to me, that's just fantastic. Like that's still one of my favorite toys. Also, fun fact, my first third-party figure ever, so I might be slightly biased because I used all my birthday money to buy it.
Fair.
But yeah, it has a really fun transformation. Like, I would say if you're ever thinking about getting any Fans Project figures, that this is probably the one to get.
That's probably the one to get. I totally agree with that. Like, I just think that almost all of them are worth owning. The only one I don't really think is worth owning anymore is the Chrome Dome. I don't really think he was right there on my shelf, but I didn't grab him because I was like, I don't really want to talk about this thing. It's not too exciting. He just doesn't pose at all and kind of has some like weird proportions. But this guy totally looks good. I don't understand why people don't like him. Like when I transformed this guy, so I bought him, and I bought him last year at TFCon, and because everyone else had badmouthed him so much, and because literally he was fresh in box and new for $20 because everybody hates him so much,
Can't beat that with
I
a
left
stick.
him on my shelf for like months, right? Because I was like, oh god, I'm gonna hate that thing. It's just gonna been a waste of money. I'm gonna like keep my old Titans Return garbage one and be happy with it and blah blah blah. And I opened it and I was like, this seems like almost as fun as Smart Robin. I don't understand where this disconnect comes from that everybody else hates this thing and I love it. Because like we've almost agreed tonight for the most part. The four of us have almost agreed on most things, but this is just like I do not understand why people don't like this.
I think the other thing is that the Fans Project figures I felt like never actually improved like over the years. And so when Smart Robin came out, and I don't even know what year it was, like he was like a very innovative figure for the time. But then like years later when the Browning figure came out, it was, you know, everyone's like, oh, well, I can get so much of a better figure. And then the other thing is that, like, you know, for you, you're talking about getting it for like $20 or whatever, right?
$20.
Whereas, like, if you would have bought it for the original MSRP, which was like 80 or whatever, then you wouldn't have been as excited about it. Like, that's where I think a lot of the Fans Project figures, where your opinion on them is different because you pretty much buy them for the same price as a mainline figure, and so then you think it's fantastic because it has a higher parts count, it has more paint than mainline, but it's really an $80 figure that went on clearance or that just isn't worth anything anymore. And so all of us that actually bought them back in the day, you know, kind of think of them as an $80 figure, not a $20 figure.
No, I agree. You're right in a lot of ways with that. Like I'm going price agnostic. Like there's no regret. I don't hold this and think I spent too much on it. The only one I paid anything close to retail for was the Smart Robin, which I have no regret for that one either. But like you said, it's the best one. So big surprise there. I mean, like the transformation is just so cool on that thing, and the way it like completely accordion unfolds and turns into something else. And it's like it's a complex and innovative transformation that isn't hell. It isn't hard. It just kind of happens. It's intuitive. It's really cool. But yeah, I understand not everybody likes all of these. So, there's a few of them that are pretty cool that I think, people generally agree on, like Smart Robin, and people generally like the Mind Wipe, right?
I think so.
I think they do.
Like, again, it was one of those ones
but
where I feel like, most of them that people, liked them less and less as they came out. The thing that frustrates me in general about their headmasters is they didn't do all of them. They, quit before Hardhead. And so I'm trying to think, was that the only one they didn't do, or did they...
No, I was thinking earlier. I was like, oh, well, I have all these, right? Yeah, I do. And then I was like, oh, no, wait, I skipped Hardhead. I was like, no, you didn't skip it.
They never released it. So that's the thing that's frustrating is like, and they didn't release the junior headmasters either, but the main ones. And so that's the one thing that frustrates me is they spent years and years releasing these, right? And then Hasbro comes out and it's like 2 waves or whatever. And we have all the headmasters, and they were, for the price, I would argue, if you're comparing $80 to $15 at the time, that I think that the Titans Return ones were pretty close.
No, I wouldn't be as happy if I paid $80 for that thing. I would be furious if I paid $80 for Code for the Chrome Dome. But I didn't. He was also in the about I think I paid $15 for him. I've gotten these guys super cheap.
But
they're cool. I just think but I have a lot of Fans Projects line at this point. I have a lot of their toys. A good chunk of their original, or a good chunk of their overall run actually lives in my house now that they've gotten cheap. So I guess I'm kind of positive towards them and their design.
So Rodimus says that he's thinking about picking up Fans Project Minosaur, and the only recommendation that I would have on that is if you can get him in combined mode, if you buy him from someone else in combined mode and never transform Motormaster ever, then you'll be okay. Because I actually really liked him.
Small bots are fine.
Yeah, because I actually liked him because I never transformed Motormaster, but I've heard so many other people that just absolutely hated that Motormaster figure.
Don't do it. Do not transform that Motormaster. Somehow get it in combined mode and just leave it until the end of time. Pretend it's an Action Master torso.
I was going to mention that they are actually slowly releasing the G2 repaints of Minosaur. That ages 3 and up, I think, has essentially been willing them into existence and has been doing them as TFCon exclusives. So I think they've done all 4 limbs at this point. I think it's just the Motormaster that they haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
But don't quote me on that. I can't remember. But I think if you're interested in them, I think that they do still have them up on their website, ages 3 and up. If you're looking for the G2 repaints of those, so yeah, but I do think in general there is a lot. I know Jay Zachary in the chat had mentioned about the nostalgia for early third party, and I mean I do feel a little bit of that as well with some of those earlier MMC and Fans Project, figures and iGear. You're like, oh, I remember back then, back in the day before Masterpiece.
I will never get rid of City Commander.
Yeah, City Commander was a big one for me. It was a good toy.
I think it's dope.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't hold up to modern standards as I put it on my list here, but it's still very good.
Yeah.
I put it on an older neat figures to have list.
So if you were to pick one of City Commander that like someone should go out and buy, which one would you do? Like, would you do the
City
Shadow
Commander.
one, or the original City Commander?
I'd get the original one. Shadow Commander is also very good. I've had Dia Commander and was underwhelmed.
Yeah. Did you sell me that one?
I
Or
think I
was it
sold you
Alan?
my KO of that one.
Yes. Yes. Then it was you. Okay.
I think you paid me like 50 cents for it, and I was like, thank you.
I don't know what it was. It was part of a lot.
It's... Oh.
Yeah, and the
I did have an
Protector
official
was
one
really
at
good
one
too.
point. I sold that one too. It was... No. Protector really tried.
Yeah.
It tried so hard. And, you know, if they had made a Sideburn redeco of that, I would display that until the end of time. But they didn't, and it made me sad.
Well, but, like, that was much later, right? Sideburn was 2010? 2012.
11?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was a club figure one year, and I can't remember when. But
Fence
it
Cruncher
was
was
it was
still a
after
thing,
the
though.
whole, like...
They had just done the
They'd
clear
moved
one,
on from that.
though.
Oh, okay. I don't
They had
remember
just
that.
done the clear one.
They did a
and
clear one?
Sideburn
Okay.
came out the next summer. So
Yeah.
I thought it was going to happen. It never did.
Yeah. I'm still looking for a Shadow Scyther. That was
Why would you
the...
say it like that? Like a
Shadow
maniac.
Scyther? I don't know, because I'm stupid. Shadow Scyther. Is it Scyther? Yeah, it's Scyther.
It's Scythe. Scyther's a Pokemon.
Yeah, Rodimus was asking about Make Toys Defensor, and I think he was the same size as all the other ones. The only issue is I think that they're one of the figures I think breaks all the time.
The groove.
Yeah, the groove. Like, so that's really the biggest issue. Like, it seems like everyone is like, oh, I got Defensor or the Make Toys one, and then groove broke, and what do I do? And Make Toys is pretty much like not doing support on that anymore because it's like, you know, the toy's pretty old at this point. So
There's a newish KO of it that holds up better, but it's actually kind of expensive.
Oh, really?
Like the Yes model KO of the what is it called? Their Defensor, whatever.
Guardia,
Guardian.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one, like, it's like $50 a limb and like over $100 for the main body. So it's honestly a pretty expensive knockoff. I've heard it's good, it's stable, but it's bigger. And that's the whole problem with their groove is some of the parts were just so thin and small that it just broke too easy. But blown up a little bit, he does better. I almost bought it like 80 times.
Yeah, I know you've always wanted a really good Defensor, so
I do. But
MMC one day will
there is
release
a
one.
for me. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But we're not dreaming tonight. We're living in the past.
Right.
Since I feel that we're coming closer to the end here,
Yeah,
I want to go a
okay.
little bit outside of the box we've been playing in
Okay.
and just go for really fun toys that are still cool now. They may not fit into an MP or a movie or a classics collection nowadays, but still worth getting. And I think the ultimate for that, for me, would be Cybertron Optimus Prime. That toy is chunky goodness. It's not brickish because it does have, articulation. It's kind of brickish in vehicle mode, I suppose. But it's got great engineering. It's got great paint. It's got a fun super mode gimmick. I think it's awesome. I think everyone should try and own one. It's kind of expensive on the aftermarket now, but if you can get your hands on one, definitely recommend.
See, now for me, if we're going to go that route, I would much more recommend the Robots in Disguise 2001 Optimus and Magnus.
Strong contender. Magnus.
Also great.
Optimus, yes.
Yeah, the Optimus is great. The Magnus is only good as an add-on for the Optimus to make the big giant God Fire Convoy or whatever it was. Yeah, that.
It's kind of good because he's
American,
weird
it's
looking.
Omega Prime.
Well, didn't they re-release that like last year or
We
something?
don't
Didn't
talk
car?
about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Also, it was
It didn't work
3 years
out.
ago, but-
Yeah, they wound up recalling it or something. I don't even remember. It was dumb.
I really thought that was going to be our way to get a a not quite lucky draw Blackfire Convoy.
I wanted it so bad.
I wanted it so bad.
You know,
Even
they
if
did
it's
the
all
green
busted up, you know
Unicron,
what?
they did the
I'll take
blue
it.
big convoy. Give me that black Godfire convoy. I want it.
You know what? Gray Fire Convoy. Sure, just give it to Charcoal Fire Convoy. Whatever.
Gimme.
Not quite it. Even if the mold is all busted up from that release, I don't care. Just put it in a box. I will love it. I'll fix it. I'll fix it all day.
You can get your Banana Force.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah, but it doesn't
$200,
transform.
Anna.
Yeah. And it
And
doesn't
it doesn't
transform.
transform.
And it doesn't transform.
So,
Right.
Jay Zachary in the
It's
chat
really
was
cool.
mentioning Armada Tidal Wave. I know that we've talked
Yeah.
about that as a favorite too.
You know, that's actually down on one of my shelves too. Like, it's one of those few random figures that just, like, I don't put it up high enough to call it a display figure, but it's a toy I want to own. Like, it's really cool to have.
It's very cool to have.
Yeah.
Its articulation is whack.
And its articulation is whack.
It tries.
But to go along with you guys' theme, the really old stuff that's held up, Big Convoy. Like, I know he got re-released, and mine is the re-release, but that toy's just still good.
I love
Like-
Big Convoy, and I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, it's, as far as shell formers go, it's basically like the best shell former. And in robot mode, it's just a really cool toy to play with.
Yeah,
And it's
he's
still
so
good. And it is like one of the oldest things we talked about tonight.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's the one thing I feel like a lot of the newer ones kind of fit in better with the current collection, or they have better articulation. But yeah, fun factor. I mean, some of those Cybertron toys were great and whatnot.
That's the thing. Like, I think out of all those we just talked about, I think, like, I have Big Convoy sitting with my, like, current figures, and he doesn't look out of place. Now, he is the newer repaint, but I don't think the old one would look out of place either. I think he has enough detail, articulation, and, you know, features that I think he looks right with those figures. And a lot of it, I know, just comes down to that weird, like, it just looks right thing that we have.
I also feel the same way about Leo Convoy, but that's a less popular opinion. I love Leo Convoy as a figure, and I think he gets a lot of hate unnecessarily. It's a good toy.
Well, if we're going to talk about those two, let's go ahead and throw in the original Optimus Primal, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was a great toy, too.
Oma got a release in Legends anyway, so I guess Takara thinks it fits in with the new stuff, too.
I don't think that one looks good on the shelf, though. I had it till recently, and I don't know. He stood out to me. He had to go away.
Anna, Paul in the chat says the Big Convoy is on his worst figures list, so just FYI.
Paul has no taste. He doesn't even like third-party stuff.
Yeah. So, also in the chat, someone asked whether the G1 Insecticons, are they still the best Hasbro Insecticons? And you could make a case for them outside of articulation. I mean, I think that they're still really fun figures.
They wear out bad, though.
Yeah.
They get so wobbly, and their chrome just goes to poop. That's the problem with them.
Yeah.
Now they could start re-releasing them like every 5 years. That way, when your current ones wear out, you can be like, "Oh, new one's great."
Didn't they do that for a while? They had a TRU thing, and then they had a was that Platinum release?
Platinum.
Yeah, it's Platinum. Yeah, they pretty much were.
So they did that.
They've
for a
actually
bit.
been doing that. We just are coming up on the next 5 years that they need to do it again here.
Need
So,
them again. More exclusive, kiddos. Let's get it.
but yeah, and Beast Wars Megatron. I mean, really, the whole Beast Wars line. I mean, it was so innovative for the time. I mean, a lot of those figures hold up pretty decently now.
Oh, yeah. You know, except for
Yeah,
poor Transmetal
what about you?
Megatron. Pour one out for him.
Get the Japanese one.
Yeah,
It's worth tracking one down.
right. Absolutely.
Honorable mentions to go to Prime and Animated too. I mean, those don't fit with any of the modern aesthetics, but those toys are fantastic,
Yeah,
and a lot of them
yeah.
still hold up.
I
Yes.
don't think there's a
I've said-
bad toy in the animated line. I don't think. I'd have to think harder than that.
Yeah.
But
So-
But
I can't come up with one off the top of my head.
Parker's
I've said
close.
numerous times that my favorite Transformer ever is Prime First Edition Optimus. So
Yeah.
if you could get one, definitely grab it. They're expensive now too. But yeah, good stuff in animated, good stuff in Prime.
I do want to mention for a generation shelf too that the whatchamacallit, Rekgar, the old Generations one, I think still holds up pretty well. Like I like him better than the Combiner Wars
version,
or whatever, prior to the Primes, whatever version.
Way better.
Whatever.
Careful with the handlebars.
Yeah, right, because they crumble.
That's
So.
a super cool one.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Are my handlebars?
Mine are fine.
Hopefully, mine are still okay.
I'm not going to touch them.
said
Now you're
careful.
nervous.
Be careful, and the thumbs on his hands. Be careful with those two.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will. But yeah, no, this is
I would
still
go
a
with
good
Jump
figure.
Keep over Rekgar, but that's me.
Well, whatever. Either one.
It is whatever.
But
I
the
like-
other
I like
thing
Jump
is
Keep for the colors.
you can also keep these guys like in your collection even if they release new versions because you can never have too many Junkions. So
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, how many of those did I wind up with? I got the Rekgar, I got the Scrap Heap, I got the Junk Heap, and I got the Shattered Glass 3-pack.
Did
I
you
want to
get
say there's
the-
another one. Oh, wasn't there?
There's the 2-pack that came with that hot rod.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that too. I wound up with a lot of those motorcycles.
yeah.
I got rid of the Shattered Glass one. Sergio bought those from me.
Yeah.
They're okay.
Yeah, that's my list. I think I pretty much covered everyone that I was thinking of tonight. So
I want
Any
one
lingering
more
questions
figure
from the
on it.
chat?
I had one more thing to bring in.
Yeah, what do you got?
yep.
It's fun because it's a segue, right? Because Rekgar is Rekgar. In animated, he was a dump truck, and Wide Load was a dump truck, but his third-party version isn't a dump truck, so we eventually get around to it. I just wanted to mention these guys just real fast, these old throttle offs they were originally the Toy World ones, and mine is the KO that was, I think it was a Wei-Jing KO. I don't remember who made it.
Is it an oversized KO?
It is oversized.
Okay,
So
because
mine
I
is huge.
didn't. I was gonna say I didn't know they were that big,
The
but now that
original
makes
version
sense.
is still big, like it's
Yeah.
like up to here big. It's still a big toy,
Huh.
but this is just it's a cool thing. Like it's not accurate. I loved my Wide Load as a kid, right? Like
Yeah.
he was just a stupid little dump truck that you could pull back and he
Yeah.
could flip, and that was fun. It was a cool toy,
It
so
was,
when I
it was
found out there was
wonderful
a
in its
version-
terribleness.
right?
It
I
was-
had to get a set just to
Yeah.
get him, and it's like the other 4 are still cool, or 5. The other 5 are still cool, but they could all die as long as I get to keep this one. 'Cause this thing is just like it's fun, but it's not a dump truck, so it's so weird for me because they made him
What?
a Hummer instead.
that
for
is
some
weird.
reason,
It's an odd choice.
like he's just cool, and he has kitty ears on his head for some reason.
Why not?
I like him. He's a fun toy to play with, and he's just absolutely massive and
Mhm.
totally looks fine with the Generations collection. Like, you have to have this weird continuity where Wide Load is a giant creature and not a little tiny mini bot, but it's fine because he works for me. I think he looks super cool on my Generations shelf. And I have honestly considered getting rid of the others just because they're too big, oversized, but this guy's really fun, oversized. They just mentioned Jetfire, and I think he's about the size of Commander Jetfire. Really like.
That's
what
a
I
good
think is
segue
kind
into
of well, I was gonna say I'm still surprised that like they did those figures so early, and we've never gotten newer versions of of those characters, which just seems crazy to me. What's that?
We got Chase.
Yeah, and
Well,
that's it.
yeah,
Just Chase.
Just Chase.
So
Poor Chase.
And then also, I know one thing we didn't do a shout out for the minicons as well from Armada, but those were all super fun figures to play with as well. I know Minifigure Collector in the chat had mentioned that too. So
Oh heck yeah, minicons are great.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think the new Micromasters are actually better than Minicons.
no,
Not the same.
I think they're bigger than
Kinda similar.
Minicons.
I feel like minicons
move
are like the
better than
perfect thing
minicons.
to track down at like shows now. You know,
Yeah,
because you
should
can
go $3
find
an
dealers
event.
and they're like $3 a pop, and you can just go through people's bins and try to find ones that you still need and whatnot. So
Yeah, they're cool. And they're all different. That's what I like about them as compared to the Micromasters, because the Micromasters all kind of like share the same engineering behind them. But the minicons just did whatever the heck they wanted. And
Yeah.
like some of them look absolutely not like anything in robot mode, and some of them look good. And they're just, I don't know, they were fun and creative. They were kind of like, they hit that same place for me. I know for Christian it's different, but they hit that same place for me as BotBots do now. It's just like you don't really know what you're going to get with them. Like something comes out, it can be completely different out of left field, and it's a mini con. And I feel like BotBots are kind of like that.
Uh-oh.
You got me considering if that's why I liked them back then.
It's possible.
there you go. All right, so Nick, what were you gonna say?
I have
interrupted you.
one more unpopular opinion for the day here. My Jetfire is still my Classics Jetfire from 2006. Because I didn't like the Generations one, how tall it was. It was okay, you know. And then the new one, the Siege one, is beautiful. It's great. It's a wonderful toy, but it's way too big. So he goes with my Masterpiece. And then the Classics one is still my Chug Jetfire. I just like them better. It's a good toy. There's nothing
It's a
wrong with
great
it as a
toy.
figure.
It is a good toy.
It still holds up
Hasbro was good at making
engineering wise,
Jetfire.
you know.
I like all three of those Jetfires.
Yeah,
It's funny because that's actually probably my least favorite Jetfire of the three, but I still
Oh,
really
okay.
like
It's
it.
for toys.
But I still really like it, and the reason is just like every Jetfire they've ever made has been really good. So
No, that's not true.
what? What's not true?
The Classics Jetfire is awful.
I
I don't
love
understand
that
what's
figure.
happening. Where am
Yeah.
I? Is this a
What?
Twilight
Are
Zone?
you crazy?
What?
How could
are
you not like that
talking about?
figure?
What
Do
is
you guys
wrong
like
with
the
that figure?
Power Glide too?
Huh?
Are you guys
Like
going to
what?
tell me you like that Power Glide next?
I did like him for a long time. I mean, the
I mean, it's
the Mega Guy's
massive.
better,
This
but
is out of scale.
Oh, this is terrible.
Are you talking about the original
Go
Power
to
Glide
Hell
or
to
the new
Die.
one? The newer
he had a
one.
heart. How could you not like him? He had a heart.
That was adorable.
That was the only thing I liked about him. That was cute, but that was it.
All right, so if you want me to go to the hill to die, ready? Classics Mirage. Boom.
See, now
Love
I
that
agree with
figure.
that. I 100% agree with that.
But a lot of
Nick,
people
I
love
love
it.
you.
Although I wouldn't go Classics, I'd go Henkei.
Okay.
What? Like,
That's fine.
that divides the fandom. I thought that people agreed that Jetfire was terrible, and now I've got 3 people telling me it's not. It's good.
That's
You're
it's quite
crazy.
good.
Half a block behind its chest. It looks stupid. I hate that
I did
thing.
not like Dreadwind. I did really like Treadbolt. I probably like Treadbolt more than I like Jetfire.
I
Just the
like
colors.
the dark Jetfire they did in Japan, the black and purple
Ooh,
guy.
I like that one too.
He's pretty. That's a good toy.
I still think I like Treadbolt more.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Gee.
I'm actually not
Blue
a
Angels
huge
don't
fan
go.
of Classics Mirage. Like, I thought he was fine. I don't hate him, but I'm not like some of you guys. Like, still put him up on a pedestal like he's the best one, and I don't agree with that.
I mean, he is, so
That Mirage?
not
No.
incorrect.
He's
He's
tough
fine.
to beat.
He's not Mirage, but
Yeah, I guess
See-
if you want to get one of the other repaints of it, then sure.
What,
Go
like
get
Machine Wars
Fracture.
Mirage?
No, go get Fracture. She's better.
Yeah, I know. I was just trolling.
yeah, for sure.
Although that Machine Wars one isn't horrible. They should have done Prowl instead.
Yeah,
but that's
Like how you do one without the other, I don't know, but whatever. It's a
I
whole
know.
other can of worms and a whole other
we,
show.
we gotta make sure that Striker and Obsidian are in Machine Wars now. That's why they couldn't do
Speaking of
Prowl.
speaking of Fracture, someone mentioned DX9 Cocobone, and I think that is probably the best version you can get of where did her name go? Crasher.
Fracture.
I think that's the best crasher you can get.
Well, when you say it's the
like,
best
I should've brought my
crasher,
guitar.
it's like the only
There
crasher
aren't many. But
that
it's
you can
actually
get other than the
good.
original GoBot.
Like other
You
than
can
the
go
space
get
being
Fracture,
kind of
like
Yeah, you can get
Or
Fracture.
Fracture,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's
Fracture's
true.
not
Yeah,
better.
Fracture's probably better, yeah. I
Fracture's
do really
not
like
better.
that DX9
What is
mold,
wrong
though.
with you guys?
What's wrong is that we like good toys, Anna.
That's true.
That one is a way better toy. Like, it's totally playable. Those DX9 figures are totally great.
I don't know.
Also,
Like
I wouldn't
8 times
consider
more
them
expensive than
great.
Fracture.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like
I think
$80
they're
at
great.
the time. If you could get it on clearance, then yes, I would say Kokomon is good. I did like Kokomon once you bought the sticker kit from Toy Hacks to upgrade it and all that. It was a good figure and all that. But
I don't have any upgrades on mine. It's just there. It's
yeah,
just fine.
so but yeah, no, I did
didn't
like that
the
DX9
side
one.
kill that went with her though at all. I hated their side kill.
I think
I
the
tried to buy that one 3 times and just couldn't go through with it.
Yeah,
the
I had
action
him for about 10 minutes.
the best side kill ever is that Action Toys one that's like $120 or whatever, but that's like a fantastic figure. Like I wish
Really
that would have went on
cool.
clearance.
I
would
don't
have.
$120 like Psykill.
I know that's the trouble is
Yeah.
I
that
don't
like
either.
it never went on
$20 like
clearance.
Psykill. Make a new deluxe out of him. I'll buy it all day. But I don't.
Hell, I
I don't know.
what was it,
$100
$40 or
like Psykill.
$50 like Psykill when I bought the smaller Action Toys one.
Yeah,
But I can't
Yeah.
$120 like him. I can't do it.
yeah, it's a really
Well,
good
when
figure.
you
I
go
will
to
say
the
if you.
place,
I owned it for a minute and sold it just because they never released anything else in that scale, and so unlike Anna, I don't like to have one figure of stuff. So, but if they would have done
I'm putting together GoBots real slow, and none of them go together at all. They're just all different scales and sizes, and they're nonsense.
yeah, I have all the old Action Toys ones, but I'm sad that they quit that line too because I don't know. Maybe they will release another one. I think they did the Loco one, like last year or something. So maybe there's still some hope that the ones we saw, some of the preview ones, they'll actually release. But
Make a puzzler.
yeah, but the
I go
Turbo, like they never released the Action Toys Turbo, and it pissed me off because they showed it off at shows for years, but I don't know. I think that whole conglomerate is dead. The people that did that because I think they were a spinoff of Fans Project or Make Toys. I think some of those people were involved with it, and yeah, so who knows? Maybe though one day we'll see. But anyway, was there any other figures that we wanted to highlight? I think we've kind of gone through everyone in the chat.
Check my notes.
I'm out of steam.
Anybody but
I only brought one other, and I'm tired.
So now we have quite a list for Tony to go and buy and put on his eBay watch list, so that he can slowly get the 50 figures that we talked about today. So
if anybody wants a copy of this database, I'm going to upload it to the Discord if that helps anyone. So
Ooh, look at you! But it's only your opinion. It doesn't have the rest
Yeah.
of ours.
Right.
It's my
It
opinion.
has no third
Nick's-
party.
Nick's database of his favorite versions of each. I'd be curious to kind of go through it, and then we could all discuss it on the Discord and be like,
Yeah, you can.
how could you
Everybody
pick
can
this
tell me
as
how much
your
I suck.
favorite one?
Yeah,
You're like-
that's good.
5 figures a day that we tell him are wrong.
Yeah.
The 5 daily sins of Nick.
Oh, geez.
Your opinion is bad, and you should feel bad.
Exactly. Your opinion is wrong.
Yeah.
So, so tomorrow night, check out Microcasters, where we talk about the best Megatron ever, the Netflix Siege Megatron that just came out and is featured at Walmart's right now. So
That's Megatron to date, released as of now.
right until potentially the next
See if
year.
there is one.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to next year's Netflix Megatron when they repaint when they repaint the Earthrise version.
Earthflex.
So
Maybe they'll give him a new head sculpt. They'll give him lips just for you, Anna.
Ooh. Different sizes, so you can customize for the day of the week. Your bizarre mood.
You haven't read Last Stand? Ugh, Anna.
Why?
That's the
Is it
origin of
specifically
lips in
about lips?
Transformers.
Yeah.
The origin of lips.
Anna
It
just can't
kind
be
of
bothered.
is. I'm not going to deny you.
Yeah. I'm usually right. That's my
Oh,
whole thing.
whatever.
That's my
This show's
brand.
over. I'm
usually
tired
right.
of this.
Oh.
So anyway, so check that out on the TF Talk Facebook page tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. I don't know if we're gonna have an ouch this week or not. I haven't talked to Rob yet, so we'll see. But there'll be an announcement if there is one. And then Cut the Tape. If you want to check that out, Rick is in the middle of building that crazy Lego Optimus Prime that was like 1 million pieces. So I get to edit that down this week and put that up. So check that out or check that out upcoming. And then TF Talk News. There wasn't one this week because there wasn't a lot of news, but there should be one coming up next week. So check that as well. That usually drops Sunday nights. So yeah, there is a first Friday, I guess, for Transformers this time. So that should be exciting. I think that's Friday.
Yeah, first Friday, and we got a Netflix date finally. So
Oh, yeah.
Netflix is July 30th.
July
so that'll be
30th.
exciting.
Woo!
You gotta wait, but at least now we have a date. So, all right. Was there anything else you guys any final thoughts before we go?
I wait with old third-party figures.
If you want to continue the conversation, join us on Discord. The link should be with the videos on YouTube. So, I think that's it. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Bye.